let's get to that Minnesota game. What kind of challenges are you seeing from this Minnesota team that Nebraska will have to keep an eye out for?
So there's two things right off the bat. I think Drake Lindsey is a big-time prospect. He's a big, strong-arm kid. And I think they're going to want to, listen, they throw the ball 58% of the time, which to itself you say Minnesota 58% of the time the ball's in the air. That's got to get Nebraska's attention because what you're thinking is this fool's gold? Is this who they really want to be? And we heard Coach Butler allude to he thinks it may be a little bit of fool's gold that multiple weeks in a row they've seen run game packages that they had not seen before from teams. All of a sudden you get run game packages from Bryce Underwood. Now they found a way to slow Childs down, but they had to neutralize the way that they used Michigan State used Frazier. And then Malik Washington with very few design QB runs. 2 out of the first 6 plays they ran were design quarterback runs. So they get in 13 personnel with 1 back and 3 tight ends, and it's like, what Maryland team is this? So I think the fact that they're very cognizant of what Lindsey brings to the table, but in addition to who Minnesota really is, are a couple of early things to look for. Neutralize Lindsey. And make sure that you aren't, I say it almost every week, don't be the medicine that cures what's ailed Minnesota.
Did you like how Coach Butler addressed it yesterday? Like, hey, we know you're probably going to run on us, so bring it on.
Yeah, like I think, listen, everybody, I'm a big address the elephant in the room guy. Yes, I'm going to take it head on. I want to know where I stand. Let me get a chance to make it right. So I don't mind that at all. And I think, with Fleck's success, and he's 6-1 against Nebraska, he's won 5 in a row, and they've done it a certain way, right? I joke, it's not really funny, but listen, they came in here with 60 guys on the roster and won. They ran it down Nebraska's throat, and they hadn't been spectacular up until then. So, listen, all bets are off when these two teams meet, especially up there. And so they will have Nebraska's full attention, and I'm glad they have Coach Butler's full attention because he's not one of those guys that I worry about very many things sneaking up on.
Let's talk about Minnesota's defense real fast. They're in the upper half of this conference in interceptions. They have 3 defensive touchdowns. When you hear the players and coaches talk about them, they describe them as a very sound defense. What do you see from this defense that makes this Minnesota defense sound?
Coach Collins is a great coach. He's the longest tenured coach on Coach Fleck's staff. He's a heck of a recruiter, ascended to the role of defensive coordinator. So I kind of know what he's about. And I think schematically they're always going to be sound. They've got guys that are in the right place. I know what they're looking for on the recruiting trail from a temperament standpoint. The thing that's been a little surprising about this Minnesota team is they're struggling to tackle, which, again, knowing Coach Collins and his personality and how they want to play up there, I'm sure that's driving them crazy. But schematically, I think they're pretty good. They're very good at disguising coverage. They play some inverted cover too. They're very good pre-snap in terms of messing with the eyes of the quarterback. So I think Nebraska will have to be sound. But if the thing that jumps out at the page off me the most right now is they're having the same conversation Nebraska fans and media were having early in the season. Is this scheme or is it execution? And I think so far for Minnesota, the scheme is fine. They've got to execute better.
Okay, from a schematic standpoint, I feel like I'd be remiss if I don't bring up the hometown kid, Emmett Johnson, this weekend. Are there things schematically that you think he can take advantage of from Minnesota's defense? And also on that, what the mindset that Emmett has to have going into this game?
So I think the number one key for him is to control his emotions. You can be dialed, you can be focused, but you have to be who you are. And anything more than that is you're differentiating from the game plan because it's not sustainable. And so he's got to stay within himself and harness those emotions. That's not always easy to do, especially when it's kind of a homecoming thing and you feel slighted, right? Now, you can use negative motivation in small doses. I don't know how sustainable it is unless you're Tom Brady because he's told the story about the chip on his shoulder for 23 years. So he's made it work. Emmett, on the other hand, can do what you can do. The one thing, the interesting matchup for this is Emmett has been very elusive and patient in terms of making guys miss. He's got to understand, continue to trust the integrity of the play. He's so good with his patience before he does what he's doing. He's got much better at when he makes moves in space, he's gaining ground. He's not just busy being busy. Minnesota will allow you some opportunities to get free with that first initial defender. It's what he does after that that I think will be the key. But number one, he's just got to stay within himself emotionally.
When you hear him tell just after the game, he's just seeing the field better. What does that start to click for a back, or how much work is going on behind the scenes for him to really develop that part of his game?
I love the fact he said it, because a lot of being an upper echelon back is not just about individual talent; it's about vision. And sometimes I'll use the term feel, and he used both, where he says he's seeing it better. That's where you understand timing. How long to press the point of attack, smooth to the hole, speed through the crease. Where are the free defenders? Where am I most vulnerable when we're blocking duo to a 3-by or whatever it is? The more reps he has, the better feel you get. The better feel you have, the more natural you can be. So it all goes hand in hand. But with the increased volume from a guy that was kind of dusted off the scrap heap halfway through last season, he's now starting to get the reps where he's just now actually getting into a lather.
Yeah. Well, you guys spoke to Ryan Barnes this morning, covers Minnesota. He shared this might be the least physical O-line Minnesota's had in a very long time. And then yesterday you hear Coach Butler be very clear about what he expects from his defense. He wants the quarterback to field them 5 times minimum.
Yeah.
If they're able to do that early in this game, what kind of game can this turn into?
So I think you want Minnesota to have to play catch-up from a physicality standpoint. That means drop back, where they can't use run action, where they're not getting the ground game going to keep the secondary at bay. They've had a considerable amount of drops, and so the more hits that you can get on Lindsey, the more confidence starts to creep into this deal. And it's not a team that I think you want playing from in front. You want them playing from behind, given the fact that you think you can take advantage of some things from guard, center to guard area against them. Now, listen, they may have some newfound resurgence. Seeing Nebraska may bring out the best in this offensive line, but you have to start with the physicality up front if you truly want to get this into the fourth quarter.
The difference maker this weekend against Minnesota will be?
I'm going to go with Nebraska's defensive line. I think they have got to be able to make some hay. I like Minnesota's tackles. There's been some inconsistency in the passing game. They have not been able to get the ground game going. Again, don't be the recipe for Minnesota's ground game to get healthy. The difference will be Nebraska's defensive line.
Yeah, we'll see when Nebraska looks to exercise some demons in Minneapolis on Friday.